Could you imagine waiting for justice, not for a few years, but for centuries? Well, that's the incredible reality we're diving into, looking at one of the single biggest challenges in the world of law, India's court system. And the big question we're asking is, can a totally 21st century solution fix a problem this ancient? Okay, let's just start with a number that kind of sets the stage for everything else. 54 million. That is the unbelievable number of court cases currently pending across India. It's a number so huge it's almost hard for your brain to even process it. And hey, if you thought that number was big, get ready for this one. 300. At the pace things are going right now, it would take an estimated 300 years just to clear the cases that are already in the system. I mean, think about that. A simple property dispute could outlive you, your children, and even their children. That's the scale we're talking about. So let's just be really clear. This isn't just some administrative backlog. No way. This is a full-blown generational crisis. A 300-year wait for justice isn't just justice delayed. It's something else entirely. It's basically not justice at all. You know, the source material we're looking at calls this the judicial asteroid belt, and it's a perfect metaphor for the absolute chaos. Because inside that giant 54 million case problem, there's this dense core of over 180,000 cases that have just been stuck, languishing for more than 30 years. People have literally lived their entire adult lives waiting for an answer. And to really get the human costs, you gotta hear this story. There's this anecdote about a man who, in a sworn statement, said he was 28 years old. Okay, a full decade goes by, and in a new filing for the exact same case, he again swears he's 28. When the judge calls him out, his lawyer's defense is just priceless. He isn't being inconsistent, my lord. He is being loyal to his statement. It's one of those things you have to laugh at, but it's a kind of humor that's born from a system that's just profoundly broken. All right, so the problem is obviously immense. So where do you even begin, right? Well, the proposed solution here isn't about trying to boil the ocean. It's about being smart and targeting a very specific place where the system gets clogged up, the paper-based bottleneck. So, where's the weak spot? Where can you actually make a dent? Well, the data points to a really surprising place. You see, while about 85% of all cases are in the lower district courts, the real bottleneck for a certain type of complex, document-heavy case is actually in the high courts. And this is the bullseye. We're talking about something called writ petitions. There are almost 2 million of these things pending in the high courts. And here's the kicker. These cases aren't decided by long, dramatic trials with witnesses. Nope. They're decided almost entirely on what's called the paper book, just a massive collection of affidavits and documents. So I want to be super clear about what this means. This idea isn't about replacing judges in criminal trials or anything like that. It's about building a very specialized tool for a very specialized problem. It's about attacking the mountain of paperwork that a machine is just uniquely built to read, to analyze, and to organize. Okay, so the big question is, how on earth can an AI think about a legal case? Well, the answer isn't some kind of magic. It's all about logic. And it all boils down to a core concept from computer science called logic gates. The easiest way to think of logic gates is like a super sophisticated checklist. For instance, a rule might be, if a document is not signed and it's not dated, then flag it as defective. The AI is programmed with literally thousands of these simple if-then rules, all based on established principles of law. Critically, it's not creating new laws. It's just applying the existing ones with perfect consistency every single time. So the AI's whole process really breaks down into 3 simple steps. First, it scrutinizes the facts that are presented in a petition. Second, it correlates all those facts with the documents provided, checking to see if everything lines up. And third, it matches the specifics of the case against a huge database of past legal precedents. And how good is it at this? Well, people have actually tested this. And for specific tasks, like summarizing documents or pulling out key data, AI tools are already outperforming human lawyers. They're achieving higher accuracy in just a fraction of the time. Look, this isn't about the AI being smarter than a human judge. That's not the point at all. The real superpower here is that it's tireless. It can apply the exact same legal standard to the first case of the day as it does to the 100th. It doesn't have cognitive biases, and it's totally immune to the decision fatigue that every single human, no matter how brilliant, eventually suffers from. Of course, I know what you're thinking. Robot judges? Right? It's the first thing that comes to mind. But the entire system is actually designed specifically to stop that from ever happening. It's all built around keeping the human firmly in control. And this is maybe the most important thing to understand. The AI never, ever delivers a final binding verdict. It doesn't have the final say. Its job is to produce something else entirely. And that something is called a draft adjudication report, or a DAR. Think of it as a super-powered legal memo for the judge. It makes a recommendation, sure, but way more importantly, it shows all of its work. It cites every single piece of evidence and every legal precedent it used to come to its conclusion. It's totally transparent. So, the human judge gets this report and they are completely in the driver's seat. They have total authority. They can adopt the AI's reasoning, they can modify it with their own expertise, or they can just toss the whole thing out and start from scratch. The final decision always, always rests with a person. You know, the best analogy I've heard for this is the pilot and co-pilot in an airplane. The judge is the pilot, with full command, making the final calls. The AI is the co-pilot, managing all the complex systems, running the checklists, and feeding the pilot critical data so that they can focus on making that final, nuanced judgment. All right, so let's pull back and look at the big picture here. Where does this road lead? Well, it leads to a really powerful idea captured by this great metaphor, the silicon broom. And this isn't just some sci-fi dream. There's a really practical, step-by-step plan for how to roll this out. You start small, with the AI just acting as a smart registrar to check for simple filing mistakes. Then it evolves into a research assistant. And only then, in the final phase, does it become a full decision support system. It's a crawl, walk, run approach. There's this great story from way back in 1923 about a judge who boasted that he was the broom of the court and he was going to sweep away the case backlog. Well, he failed, and the Chief Justice at the time famously said his broomstick must have become rotten. Well, fast forward 100 years, and those old manual broomsticks aren't just rotten, they're museum pieces. The problem today requires a totally new kind of tool, a silicone broom, one that's capable of sweeping through millions of digital files with a speed and a precision that was just unimaginable a century ago. So here's where we land. The technical challenges? They're solvable. The AI is pretty much ready. The silicon broom has been built and it's sitting in the corner, ready to go. The real challenge, it seems, is no longer about code. It's about courage. The only question left is, does the institution have the will to actually pick it up and start sweeping?